Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here. Got a little bit of exciting news going around our house. My son had a rapture dream. Yeah, they always have dreams around here, but they're usually all personal dreams dealing with our family, visionettes, dealing with, things going on with our family. This one it's kind of a personal dream, but it does have great significance, and I decided to post it. I posted it in another video all by itself. This one we're going to do a little bit of talk. We're going to talk about it a little bit. But the significance of this dream is it actually has a date involved. Now, if you like me, you go in and you look at, a lot of rapture dreams and, what people are having because these things are really interesting. Now, you may have read some of my other stuff. I actually go in under, anonymous or other names and actually, give a interpretation or a rookie interpretation of these based on what the Lord has given me. So you may have read some of that stuff on there, but I'm really excited about these dreams. But like I said, I don't really have a lot of them. I do have, a little bit of, God-given talent to interpret some of them sometimes. But this one is exciting for me because not only was it given by, someone in my house, but it's the first time that I think we've heard a date in one of these dreams. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play the first part. I got his dream here. You can hear the whole thing in its entirety. I'm gonna play the whole thing here in its entirety. I'm just gonna break it up a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you hear the first part, and then we'll come back to it.
It was the day before Atonement Day.
You say Atonement or Pentecost?
I meant Atonement.
Atonement.
Atonement Day, and you was going around telling people that you should grab your Bible, and as soon as you see something you're not doing, start doing it right away and stuff, and you're gonna die. You might die after this day, and people were like, no, no, and you went up to Grandma Lee's church and said it, and they kicked you out. And Elliot kicked you out, and
All right, y'all. There you have the first part of the dream. Now notice how he's definitely sure that he heard Atonement Day in his dream. And now this to me seems like the first time that we've heard a date, or at least the first time I've heard a date associated with any type of significant event, in these times or in dreams and such. But he did give a significant event. And notice he talks about the days of Noah there in that dream. How when one is present him the information about the potential for this day of atonement, everybody's saying no, 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 and even at the end there you hear that the church has kicked the messenger out, right? Kicks the messenger out. And that's a lot what's going on in our churches, especially in our Pentecostal churches and the other churches who believe that they don't believe that they're above the scripture. They don't really, need the scripture to carry on day-to-day operations. When someone comes and presents any type of information like this that they aren't hearing from like the TV or evangelists or their leaders, they are rejecting it. So they are basically just kicking out the messengers there. All right. Now, in the next section, we will hear, what happens on Atonement Day and right after Atonement Day is what we're going to hear next. Now, one thing we notice is that there's a significant event that happens on Atonement Day. Now, he talks about somebody dying in the church, but what he describes, doesn't really sound like, that it was a death of a regular person. They're ringing bells and, there's marching going on and all kinds of stuff. But so who actually died or what the significant event was, I don't know if I have an interpretation for that or any of it for that matter. But just notice that his dream is that it's saying that there's a significant event on Atonement Day, But it's talking about this Elick individual. Now, Elick he's a member of this church up the street. He is a seminary graduate, and he's, probably to them one of the wisest, most biblically educated people in there because they give a lot of, credit to seminary school, whatever. Well, if you notice in the first part of the dream, it was him that actually kicked the messenger out of the church. Well, now that this significant event has happened on Atonement Day, he's the first one to march down to the messenger's house and say, "Hey, is there any way I can get involved in the ministry?" And he ends up looking at, some of the apocryphal books and the hidden documents that has rejected up until this point. He's flat out rejected them up until this point, in reality, in real life. And for him to come down and now start to look at these books on his shelf means that there is a significant change.
And then after Atonement Day, somebody died at the church. And then Elliot walked downstairs. And you was in our room. And me, Craig, and Clifford was in our room. And he came and then he said, "What can I help you do?" And he was like, and then he said, "'Cause somebody just died at the church." And he just started giving, letting him look at your books on the shelf and stuff.
All right, y'all. So you notice in that part that there's something that changes that causes the seminary graduate to take interest in apocryphal books. There has to be something there. So something happened on Atonement Day. But it also affected the rest of the members in the church too, because you notice that they all walked down or you hear in the dream that they all walked down to see what was going on. Not only were they, seeing what was going on, but they came with the intent to make their place look like and function like this one. Now, this place that we live on now is an off-grid homestead. I mean, we don't have, electric bills or water bills or grocery bills or any other bill other than his Wi-Fi, and I guess it has some divine going on with it because I don't know how it even gets paid. But other than that, we live off the land, and so for them to all of a sudden take an interest in this means there's something's going on to make them do it, and for them all to march down here means it's something significant. They have to do it. It's not like they moseyed on down here or trickled in one at a time saying, "Hey, you guys all going on." But no, this is the church who I think represents the multitude of the people who are now distracted by other stuff. Some reason on Atonement Day are now focused on living off grid, on focus on living off the land, or focus on living closer to the way the scripture would have us to live. And that's what I think is significant. The date is significant, and then the fact that something changes the mind of the church, that's really significant, guys. Well, let's go on to the next one.
And then everybody just down in the church, go to the church, just marched down here and came in our driveway. And they'll come and see what they could do to make their place like ours. They're like, "Oh, they don't have a washing machine, they have a hand washing machine." So they went up there and took that away and then built them a hand one, and then like they don't have a running faucet all the time, so they just went and made so they don't have one all the time.
Okay, now, like I said, these dreams that my kids and even my wife, she has a few from time to time. They're usually personal dreams, and this one is, it's a personal family dream. And you hear in this last part here where he's talking about our water issues. At the end of the other part there, he's talking about how they wanted their water system to be like ours. They had water that was running in the faucet all the time, while ours didn't run all the time, and they wanted to make out theirs like ours. The difference between theirs and ours is a gravity-fed water system where they have a pressure tank to keep their water. We both get our water from the ground, but they have a pressure water tank, which means their pump has to constantly run. Almost every time they turn on the faucet, they have an electric pump out there, that's pumping at about, 1 horsepower or 2 horsepower that's running. Well, mine, we run ours and fill up a tank that, and that, that's elevated, and our house is then fed with gravity. So we have water running, but we don't have the pump running at the same time. So that's the difference. But you notice that the hand pump, our pump is an electric pump like theirs, and that's a problem because we don't have electricity here, and it's kind of hard to run this pump using generators that break all the time. And we even tried to run it off the solar, and that was a joke. So you notice in the dream how the church then you remembers, all that we did for the church. I don't know if it's talking about this particular church here, but because if so, it's like $29,000 short. But they do somehow, remember that we did make these donations, and they come back and they start to help us out with the pump.
The pump we needed, the hand pump we need, they just went and they remembered the $1,000 he put in the truck. I mean the church, and then they got that, and then they bought us a hand pump, and it was $800, and they gave us the rest of the money, and then they helped us dig the hole for it and stuff, and then my dream ended.
So in conclusion, that like I said, the significance of this dream, I believe, is the date. Now, it doesn't, of course, it's not an end of the world date. The world doesn't end in the next few events. There's 1,000 years before this whole planet goes up into a big fireball, which, is the end of the world. But what we are expecting here is changes, from changing, in the environment, changes in the climate, changes in economic systems, and, family structures, and a lot of things are going to change over this tribulation period to kind of get us, back in alignment to where we should be. Hermes Academy. Power, patience, continence, and faith. We teach virtue.